What's up, family? Welcome to episode 6 of the Chip Off the Old Block podcast. I am your host, CJ Matthews, here with my co-host,
Dr. CJ Matthews the first. Hallelujah. Happy to be here. Great to see you, son. Hope things are well.
Yeah, definitely feeling good. I'm sure you feeling good. Special day. We still celebrating. I know it was yesterday, but once again, happy birthday.
Hey, yeah, right. Thank you. This is really becoming a really joyous kind of a thing, these birthdays. I'm excited about it. Thankful to God for another year. Great family. Yesterday was a great celebration. So many people showed so much love. Social media, emails, texts. People came by and brought gifts. It was just incredible.
Yeah, I enjoy birthdays. How is it having my birthday was pre-pandemic, so like, how is it having a birthday during COVID?
Yeah, right. Well, the one thing is that I wasn't able to hug everybody and those kind of things. The drive-by thing, we had to do that. Normally, as a family, we'd all go out to eat. One of our family traditions is on all of our birthdays, we choose a day either on that day or close to it. And as an entire family, all of us, restaurant be happy. All of us go out to eat, and we just enjoy ourselves as a family. And given the fact that our family's increasing, it's 10, 12, 14 times a year we get to go out. It's almost every month somebody's birthday, but so we get to do that, and it's exciting. I kind of miss that aspect of it, but it was still great. I think the pandemic, by now we've kind of learned how to live with it. I have my routine, so I'm pretty comfortable with my routine.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, some people don't act like things have changed at all. Some people try to adjust, but it's certainly, it can be a little disheartening, I suppose, to not be able to celebrate the way you like during COVID. And it's like, as people try to become more normal, they may try to even do something small. But I was just talking to my sisters yesterday. I was talking to Kimberly D yesterday, and they were saying that somebody that they knew, somebody they grew up with, they didn't give me the person's name or anything, but somebody that they knew, they had a small gathering of 11 people, and 10 out of 11 people end up contracting COVID, and one person got it like in a really severe way. So, we're praying for that person that they will make a full recovery. But it just goes to show that even at this point, or we haven't reached the point yet where we can return to normal, or you can't take this thing for granted, because these sorts of things are happening, and they're not just happening a little bit.
Well, and again, me, I'm never looking to go back to anything. I believe there's a future so powerful going forward, especially if we gain the learnings we need from this, as well as that our scientists, our medical community do their thing, the faith community, we stay before God, because ultimately we know that the cure for every disease is in the earth. We know that. Why? Because God put healing in the plants. He put healing in the earth. He gave man the opportunity to subdue his planet. And so therefore, it will be discovered. All right, God put it here. How long will that take? I don't know. Who will it be? I don't know. But I do know the potential is here, because God gives us that potential. And so if the faith community, prayer community, believer community would stay before God, and our medical community would stay doing what they're doing, and there may be some trials that fail, and we can't get caught up in the political foolishness. Science is not an exact thing. I know people like to believe that. So there's going to be some mess ups. There's going to be some failures, and eventually they'll get to it. Some people have already started to say they won't take the vaccine or this or that. And, so we're already fighting about stuff that's irrelevant. The more relevant thing is life. if life ends, where you spend an eternity, in our belief. But as long as you have life, you have potential.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still, I feel like most people are out of quarantine, but I'm still pretty much in quarantine. But it is fall is approaching. When does fall officially start?
It's October 21st or 2nd, somewhere in there.
I don't know that kind of stuff. But back to school is happening, and I know that different places have different protocols that they're following. I know some people across the country have already started school, and they're doing they're having, in-person physical school. Some people are doing distance learning and online learning, but I just want to give a shout out to the students who are about to return. And, I'm just a prayer of covering if you're going to be there physically. A prayer for all of the parents who have to continue to be that teacher, so to speak, or that in-between person to help them grasp the concepts, because I know that it can be difficult because they're not teaching things the way that we were taught or anything like that. So it's a big deal with schools opening back up.
Oh, yeah. Again, beyond the political aspect of it, and it's, parents, and I think one of the speeches I listened to, Senator Warren, I believe, was talking about the importance of child care. And we know the importance of child care because having raised children, and that's a big issue for some families. School is not necessarily their child care, but it's their child care.
Right.
It's the place where that gives them the freedom that their children are in a safe environment while they go to work. And that's a challenge. And those are realities. But here's my dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
There was a major move in this country about homeschooling. And we forgot that, hundreds and thousands of children have been homeschooled for a long time. And as a result of that, a lot of those children were doing so well, it was unbelievable. Okay. And that is a healthy option. It's not a negative to be homeschooled, or they're calling it something else now, whatever they're calling it. But I just think it's a healthy option. I think it's up to the parents. Unfortunately, the politics behind it, whereas some governors are demanding that we open schools in spite of teachers' rejections, medical community's rejections. I know our school system, Cleveland, at least the first 9 weeks, they're going to do stay-at-home learning. But then there's the challenges of access to the digital capabilities, which, again, there should be some mechanism, and this is why I'm challenged at the fact that Mitch McConnell and the Senate won't release any type of stimulus opportunity for education, because at the end of the day, education should be something afforded to all children in this country. And if children don't have the necessary access and money can solve it, let's solve it.
Yeah, absolutely. And historically, that's been one of the barriers imposed.
Right. Well, saying again, if we don't know history, we will miss something. When the schools were integrated and then the Negro colored students were allowed to go to school, immediately they became the better students. Immediately. The stronger students. Once given access, they competed at a high level. Okay? And the civil rights movement saw that, the integration of schools. Some don't agree with the integration philosophy. But at the end of the day, once given access, they competed. But then also we had historically black schools where people were developed and they competed. And education became a real part of our life where it was just, we knew it was a pathway to opportunity. And over the last 40 to 50 years, we've seen a denigration of that as we have clustered people into poor neighborhoods. It doesn't matter the ethnicity. Where poor neighborhoods are, you're going to have less function because you don't have access to the resources and to the infrastructure that undergirds that. And Habitat for Humanity has proven that you put children in a brand new home, and their learning increases, their ability to learn increases. So environment does make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Access and exposure are two of the most powerful things that they are. And I know we wasn't going to go here, but you mentioned the HBCUs, and it made me think about something. So lately there has been a lot of talk about student athletes coming out of high school, and as opposed to going to some of the bigger schools, going to some of those HBCUs. And if more and more and more of those athletes was to make that decision, that could be a powerful thing that could reroute some resources into those places. I'm not sure how much I'm sure you've heard about this and you've been seeing it talk about it, but what you think about that?
Oh, well, I went to an HBCU.
Right.
HBCU. And we came out, I came along in the time when you couldn't get in those schools and it had nothing to do with academics.
Right.
Racism. All right. So that's something we can't say and that doesn't exist. All right. And then as they begin to integrate, I remember and Pastor Larry Harrison, Elder Larry Ford, and sharing with us. I remember Bill Bryant, and he's quoted and making this statement is, I got to get me some niggers, as our athletic ability became in demand, then the more of those doors begin to open up. And not without a cost to those early athletes either, because they went through hell to be in those schools, as some of our kids still today are experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's been another beauty of this moment, is these students are now bold enough to say it, because, once you get that scholarship, then it becomes another form of enslavement.
Absolutely.
Okay? And they don't like to hear that. Well, giving them free education. Well, yeah, I know you're educating your niggers, but still.
Well, they're making these universities billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars. Iowa had a good idea when they tried to unionize, and those weren't black kids, okay? All right, and they were trying to get paid a couple years ago. But so if there was a return back to the HBCUs, then they would have to have a commitment to those students to be able to help them, because the talent, the NFL is going to come get the talent.
They're going to come get the talent.
Because that was proven back when, and it took, Ricky Feature. Ricky was our member in Hanford and others who went to, was Mississippi Valley? I forget the name of those.
Yeah, that's where
schools.
Jerry Rice went.
Yeah, they went to those schools. The NFL came and got them. Now, certainly being at Ohio State, I'm a big Buckeye fan. Being at Ohio State and some of those schools does have some advantages, all right? Mm-hmm. But if these kids were at HBCUs, trust me, NBA will come get them, NFL will come get them, and I pray our kids start playing baseball again, because they're making big money.
Absolutely. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting because it's already begun, and I don't want to get nobody's names wrong, but a couple of those key kids have already began to make those commitments and those declarations, and I just think that that's powerful. The ability to take a stand in this day and age, because it's like everybody talk about whatever, but then when it comes time to be like, no, I'm turning down all of this, and boom. And I'm standing on something, and I'm making this conscious decision to be a part of change, of empowering my people. That's just powerful.
But that's literally a transference of wealth, okay? Because just like those stands are full at the shoe, those stands can be full at Morehouse and the other HBCU schools.
Yeah, man. I know when I look back, I've had, a very interesting college career, but if I think about some of those scholarships I had to some of the HBCUs, offhand I know like FAMU and Hampton, they both offer me, but I just kind of wonder like what would the experience have been like at one of those, because man, it's it's a lot different.
Well, no matter where you go, you got to be focused. You have to be focused. There's three of us that left, and we all went to Langston University. Pastor Tim Eppinger, who you know, and late Mike Taylor, my great friend and brother, his neighbor, lived across the street from me, and he passed a long time ago. But we all three of us went out there, and I mean, it was a great place, a great school. The academics were off the chart. At that time, we were number 2 in the nation for producing small colleges for producing teachers for education. A lot of good history, and 3 of us went out, and 2 out of the 3 graduated. Mike and Tim.
Thank God for redemption.
Yeah, thank God for redemption. But you have to be focused, you know, and because you can lose sight anywhere. But it was different experience. I enjoyed it. I always say kids should go off to college, and if they can, go to an HBCU. I mean, just the experience is just incredibly different because of the culture shock you don't have to have. Number one,
man. I guess I don't talk about this that much, but this wasn't planned. But anyway, like so in college, basically, you know, you're in a class of 50 people, more people. It's like almost every single class I ever been in, I was the only black male in the class, like every time. And it's just like to be, I don't know. It's just a different type of thing.
Yeah. Well, again, you know, you were a super athlete, and so they came for you, and that was a good thing. I do remember the FAMU people. Some of those coaches I still are. They were 10, 12 years later.
Maybe 13 years.
I still got their numbers in my phone. They was blowing it up so much. It was incredible. It was an exciting time, like with you, with Donovan, watching y'all go through those processes. I was recruited when I was in school by half of school. We wasn't recruited by Langston. We got out there through Tim. They came to recruit Tim, Pastor Eppinger. And Tim said, I got 2 buddies, because me and Mike didn't even go to college. We just stayed home partying. Oh, wait, can't say that on the podcast. Anyway, we just stayed home having a good time. And then Tim came and got us, and we went out there, and it was a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a discussion about it, but I don't know how much discussion there is about it. Or at least I haven't been in it. But it's just like, just being that only black dude, they expected me just to be an athlete. And it was like, oh, he raised his hand. Oh, he knows the answer. I can remember being in like different classes, like intro, I don't know, like some like business class. It was like an intro business class or something. And so like basically the teacher asked a question. And I give the answer, but I knew the answer because I'm never going to answer if I don't know the answer. So I responded, and then somebody was like, so then she let somebody else answer, and then obviously the person wasn't black, and not to make this a racial, but yeah, whatever. So the class so she's like, well, who do y'all agree with? Y'all agree with him or y'all agree with them? And then nobody agreed with me. They all agree with the other person. He's like, well, actually. Like, but I don't know. I just still imagine, like, what would it be like if I was to go to school where more people look like me than did?
Yeah. Well, I had the privilege of going to all black high school and all black first experience undergraduate school, but then I went to a majority college, and that's where I finished. And there were very few minorities in any of my classes in my undergraduate, where I finished undergraduate, and my master's degree, there was more. My doctoral program, there was more, because of the focus of my master's and my doctoral program around African American studies. So it was an intentional move for me, but it's a joy. And I remember talking about being a scholar athlete, because I told you You know, as much as I wanted you to play football and run track, your mama wasn't going to let you do nothing if you didn't have those grades. And that's what I used to tell you. I don't know if it was true or not, but that's what I told you.
Well, fortunately, I was able to work it out. That was all right.
Well, I remember the coach sitting in our house when he came and offered you, and he's like, well, you know, we got to make sure he can go through the clearinghouse. And I'm like, well, right, you ain't read your report, you know. And 24 hours later, you had made it through the clearinghouse, and he was like, wow. You know, and unfortunately, and that does play into our conversation today, the expectations are so low when it comes to academics that if they would just have the same expectation they have as far as our athleticism, then they would see us like they see themselves and their children.
Right.
And I don't know why that's so hard. And it certainly isn't because we have proven anything different, because we've proven we can compete at every level.
Well, it's because we know that, how do they say it? You can't be as good, you got to be better.
Absolutely. And that's tragic also. You want to be better because of the competitive edge, the drive, the passion to succeed. But that's my hope for every child, not just black children or white children or brown. That's my hope. I root for all kids.
Right.
You know, that's why I don't ask questions about a person's background, you know, when I'm rooting for them. I know all the kids, and not all, but, you know me, I know everybody in college football. I root for all of them when they're kids. I root for everybody, you know. And if we could imagine a place where we're rooting for all of the kids and everybody to be successful, how much more booming would our economy be?
Yeah.
If we were investing in education and entrepreneurship in neighborhoods instead of prisons.
Yeah.
Go to jail, 90% of the folk in there could make it on the outside with opportunities. All right, and I don't know that percentage for the exact percent. And unfortunately, some people have decided that they don't want to live on the outside, and their behaviors may be such. Or if you murder somebody or kill somebody, that's why police who kill people should be in jail too.
Yeah. Well, getting on the prison industrial complex, that's a whole nother thing, because my thoughts on that is totally different. It's just the mindset of the country, but it's like it's been programmed into us, and it's just this whole psychological, it's just this whole thing.
Right. Well, see, again, if we don't view you and value you as a human, then we got to have a place for you. So we know a percentage is going to go to school, a percentage is going to work, get a job, and we don't have to worry about you. But we know that there's a group we need to lock up because we got to worry about them. And so since we're going to worry about them, wow, we discovered in the midst of worrying about that group, wait a minute, we can make money like this? Because think about it. The criminal justice system is a multi-billion-dollar organization.
Yeah, I know.
So when you start talking about criminal justice reform, you're talking about a transference of wealth.
Yeah.
Why? Because as the pressure came on states economically, that's when conservative people became open to criminal justice reform. But that's all going to go away with this next election if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Because we can hear the law and order, and given the given the protesters who are using a different form of protest, okay, all right, they're going to use that to go back, to lock up, to be crazy, to, you know, because some judges don't move away. I mean, the new sentencing guidelines have been on the books. They could have been using them for a long time. That was the beauty of fugitive safe surrender. We just asked the judges, listen, we're not asking y'all to change the law. We just want, where you can, use the soft end of the law. Because when we walk in the door, we get the tough end.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right? And that's why you see a Caucasian person do the same thing that an African-American does, and you wonder, well, how come the law don't apply to them? Yeah, but the law has this kind of a range. Given who I was and the crime they say I committed, it was probational, even recommended by the probation department. Okay. But some folk wanted me to go to jail, so I went.
Yeah. Sentencing bias is beyond real.
It's the order of the day for black folk, unfortunately. And that's why a lot of times when a person goes down and they don't go down, they have to be real careful because that judge knows you coming back in my courtroom. So when you come back, I'm going to slam you for both crimes. Plus, they wrote laws. They looked at our behavior.
Codified it.
Codified laws. And so now when you go down for one thing, you got 6 charges. Bundling. Yeah, you're going to plead to 1 or 2 because you don't want 6 hammers on your head. So 80 to 90% of the court cases are what? Please. Nobody hasn't done any work between, nobody has to do any work. I'm not going to say that one this time.
Well, I know this isn't a political podcast, but the DNC.
Yeah, DNC. This week I'm watching the DNC. Next week I'll watch the RNC.
And I don't know. I didn't see much of it, but it's like as soon as I turned on, I don't know if this was the beginning or what. It's like they were it's like they were playing spades and they just come with the Joker right off the bat, and that is Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah, Well, I mean, you give security. She's a very secure woman.
Oh man,
intelligence.
If she was running,
grace and beauty. Haven't had the privilege to do all the things she did prior to going to the White House, then to spend 8 years there. I mean, that access alone with that intelligence gives you a Michelle Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think I had to watch it because I'm an informed person. I have to watch both of them. But I have been overly engaged,
mm-hmm.
And given the fact that we're in this virtual reality anyway, so the pomp and circumstances is stripped away from most stuff, I don't have nobody saying, "Amen, go on, Reverend, I hear you right now." Oh, wow, this is the podcast. I'm sorry. Forgive me, y'all. I was caught up for a moment, but the content is so good, so well orchestrated. The testimonials from the citizens, the statements from the elected officials, the new young group that's 17. Instead of having a keynote speaker, they had 17 of the younger elected officials from Congress in different places, and a lot of people been criticizing them, because they didn't give Congresswoman, I don't want to say her name wrong, but Ocasio. They felt they didn't give her props. Then they hated on her because she didn't mention Biden. Man, she gave such a powerful second. Her job is to second the motion.
Right.
Well, she seconded the motion. Okay. She seconded the motion. It was like, wow, that's really, and to take 60 seconds. See, most people, in the podcast is proving that I can't say nothing in 60 seconds, but most people can't take a short amount of time and give a meaningful message.
Yeah.
It's a skill.
It's a power in being concise.
Right. And then, Tuesday night and Wednesday night with President Obama. Though Senator Warren was very good also. They had military people. It was just, so far it's been engaging. I can listen. Stay awake too. That's always my litmus test on engagement. Oh, I'm still awake. All right. That's my first litmus test. It's been engaging. I think they've hit all of the targets. I think that their platform is totally different than what it's been historically. You haven't had the preachers, so someone might criticize that. But I've been very engaged, and if I were a Democrat, I would be very proud.
So what?
I'm not a Republican either. Please.
If there's one or two, what are some specific things that you've heard this week from the DNC that were?
The big things, the big ones, healthcare. Okay, all right. See, I've paid for my healthcare.
Right.
Okay, so I know the cost, and I remember when the Affordable Care Act came in, and I had a very good insurance program and things, and the Affordable Care Act came in, and my insurance premium was cut by like 60%.
Wow.
Now, for the next 3 years, it went back up. So it's always going up. Okay. It went back up, but it never even got close to what it was.
Right.
Never even got close. And that was just me personally. And again, I could afford it. It was there for me. It wasn't an issue. Okay. But I can't imagine, and I've had, hernia surgeries, 3 of them in the last 10 years. I cannot imagine having to live off from under the debt or not be able to go to the hospital when I needed to. And millions of Americans. Apple hit $3 trillion this week.
Yeah, I read that.
Okay. Now, it took them all those years to get to $1 trillion. And they got 2 more trillion in a year.
Well, yeah, but that's another conversation.
Oh, okay.
They cutting costs by any means necessary.
So they got rid of people.
Well, it seems like and I got Apple everything, but it's like they've abandoned Steve Jobs' mission. It's less about innovation, more about the bottom line. But anyway,
well, that's going to happen.
Besides healthcare, what was that?
The next one was student loans. Wow, I'm like, wow, because they literally could. And can you imagine if they forgave student loan debt, the millions of kids and grown people who are up under that burden?
That's a lifelong sentence. Literally, that's a lifelong sentence. And for so many people, it's a deterrent from even going.
Right. And let me say this to my fiscal conservatives so you hear me loudly. Because somebody would say, how can we pay for it? Well, in our president's first year, he gave a 15% tax break to the wealthy. How did we pay for it? Because that's revenue. That was 15% of the wealthiest individuals in this country, and that money was zapped out of our economy.
Right.
And none of our fiscal conservatives complained.
Well,
why? Because they had an eye on Medicare, an eye on Medicaid, an eye on everything that's the infrastructure, what they call entitlements. And I don't call my Medicare, my Social Security and Medicare no doggone entitlement. Seeing as I worked 40 years and they took it out of my doggone check.
Right.
Okay. So, this how we're going to pay for it only comes up when it's something you don't want. Now, think about their health care. No. When they began to dismantle Obamacare, they still had the Congress. They voted to keep all of their staff grandfathered in to Affordable Care Act. So if it was so bad, why did they keep it for their families and their staff?
Yeah.
Okay. But there'll be people out there who will say, I ain't voting because it don't make no difference.
Well, this specific issue, this plank, this whatever you want to call it, that's major on so many levels. And you talk about a wealth transfer, but that is literally a wealth transfer because student loan debt, like I said, it is literally a life sentence. You can pay on it on the rest of your life and still owe. It's financially crippling. if student loan debt was to be wiped out overnight, the number of homeowners, the number of business owners, like the economy would be stimulated in such a way. And literally that is a wealth transfer, a transfer of wealth. And so many people will be empowered in a way that, man, you know, access. Because for some people, it's no big deal to pay $30,000 a year, send their kid to school. But for someone else, that's unthinkable.
Right. Well, I believe that state schools and state universities should be free.
Yeah.
I believe that there should be institutions sponsored by our government that provide access to education to its citizenry.
And you know what some would say? That's socialism.
Yeah. See, let me say this. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I'm not a socialist, number one. But if I was, I would be in good company.
I'll humor you.
Jesus Christ and the early church. Yeah, the early church. Read the first 6 chapters of Acts. I don't care what, and I'm not going to name no names.
No, I've actually made this argument before.
I don't care what they say. In the first 6 chapters of Acts, the conflict was around race. Greeks was mad at the Hebrews because they thought one was getting more than the other. All right, so you had race. All right. The other issue is that as they began to distribute the economy, everybody had access to the economy to the end that when you read Acts chapter 2 and Acts chapter 4, they had all things in common. Yeah. To the end, wait. The distribution was so fair and everybody was included that Barnabas said, wow, look at this. When I look at Rome's economy, when I look at Greece's economy, when I look at all economies, the poor are being crushed and the rich are being exalted. But I come here and I'm looking at everybody's needs being met. Here, take my money.
Yeah, and I should know this. But didn't somebody get in trouble for not participating?
Oh! Yeah, good old Ananias and Sapphira. Yeah, they wanted to fake like they were in, and they weren't really in. What I'm saying is, and I'm not, again, please, I am not promoting socialism. I believe in a fair and equitable economy, and I don't believe, well, I might believe in capitalism. No, I shouldn't say that. I believe you got to grind and get it, okay? I believe you got to develop yourself, develop some skills, learn how to do something, educate yourself, all right? I'm looking at people today, and I have a friend who's a multimillionaire and didn't go to nobody's college.
Yeah.
He had access.
Yeah.
All right? And he had an opportunity, okay? So there's so many pathways. For some of us, it's school. Some people are going to take a job. Some people are going to be entrepreneurs. Some people are going to be grinders, and a combination of all of it. You know, and that's the beauty of America when America allows you to breathe and takes their foot off your neck.
Right. Yeah. Wealth transfer.
Oh, no, it's happening. It's going to happen. And if we vote this time, and we can't get caught up in this conservative crap, all right? Okay? See, there's 2 competing philosophies, conservative, liberal. All right? I don't like either one of them, okay? Neither one of them are biblical, so that's number 1, okay? See, as we push this conservative agenda, we got to go back and watch how this thing develops. And we have to look at Reconstruction. Mm-hmm. And every time blacks have made progress and tried to get in power, then there's Reconstruction. The closer we get to economic freedom, we got to have Reconstruction. All right? And so I know it's been a hard fight. seems like to some people ain't nothing changed, ain't nothing never gonna change. Y'all, it's here this time. It's here this time. All right, I ain't some old crazy person. I ain't drunk today. Okay, all right. Okay, so it's here this time. Okay, all the things, women's suffrage, which we celebrate 100 years of women's right to vote. All these things, civil rights movement, even before that, Sojourner Truth, Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. Okay, all of those people, all of that came to this moment in history. And the one thing that exposes them the most is police brutality. Why? Because it's legal to still kill a black person and no accountability. And that's the one venue where it's legal. That's the one venue where we're still writing policy to support it. And these young folk out there, you don't have to like them and agree with them. You can call them whatever they in fight, whatever they're doing, have brought it to a place where God said, I hear you. They may not understand that, and they may, I don't know. But God has heard the cries of the mothers and the cries of Mr. Floyd and the many others. And he done heard it this time. And if we don't fight this time and go to the ballot box and vote, not conservative this time, and the reason why I'm saying this time is because we're going to hold everybody accountable going forward. We ain't married to nothing and nobody but the vote. We need to be married to the vote. And then over the next 10 years, 15 years, we need to direct it toward our self-interest.
Right.
And we need to grow in our voting population, meaning that every voting cycle, whether it's mayor, council person, Senate, Congress, president, we need to be increasing to the point that they will see this new growing voter population, not just when Obama's running, and they will see it and it will scare, I have to choose my words carefully, the hell out of them. Trust me. They ain't scared of us with no guns. You go to that doggone ballot box and you will shake everybody in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely a critical time. And let me ask you this. Essentially, is it fair to say this? If you're not voting, and everybody has to vote their whatever, their conscience, their whatever, like your feelings, like you know what I'm saying, like what you believe, what you know. But literally, there are two, as it comes to the president, it's two choices. It's only two. Am I right or am I wrong about that?
Well, I have to be careful. Oh, you sponsor this show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. Oh, we're sponsored by Kingdom Wear. All right, is it Kingdom Wear?
Kingdom.
All right, we're sponsored by Kingdom. I can say what I want to say. It's only one choice.
Oh, so it's only one choice. So you can address the people. Because basically, if you're not voting for Joe Biden, essentially, you're voting for Donald Trump. Even if you don't vote. True, no?
No, I don't know about that.
That's a bad way to look at it?
No, it's a good way to look at it. And that's where a lot of people is going to look at it. See, the people who aren't voting either didn't have someone that taught them about voting, okay, that taught them about voting. They don't know the value of the vote, all right? And we haven't done a good job engaging them and educating them. Or they bought into some philosophy or some theory, all right, because you got a bunch of that crap out there. Okay? And you got to be careful who you're listening to. All right? See, I had the privilege of voting because my parents voted. And so I was one of the first, in 1971, 18-year-olds were given the right to vote, and that's the year I turned 18. And I turned 18 in August, and you could vote in September, October, whenever it was. And the person running at the time was Arnold Pinckney, the late Arnold Pinckney, who I learned to love and became one of my mentors. Okay, so it was really powerful. Okay, plus, I mean, you know, we elected the first black mayor. I mean, we were on voting highs back then when I came along.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so now we're on voting lows.
Right.
We proved when Obama ran that we could voting highs. All right, so if we learn the value of the vote, then it won't matter about who's running. Okay, all right. If we learn the value of the policy, then it won't matter who's running. Okay? Because if you appoint someone who then takes away rights and creates burdens for college students, then I'm looking at you and your policies. I'm looking at you and your appointments. If you appoint someone or support the idea that police come in my community and kill me and it doesn't matter, if you can't say Black Lives Matter, I ain't got no holler for you. See, other groups don't have that worry. I served on a board in this state for 10 years. It was a pretty powerful board. And I was the only colored, black, Negro, African American. One day the executive director came to me and said, CJ, why is it that the only thing you're concerned about is the minority interests in the contracts? I said, because the majority already got 4 votes.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. What are they? They don't have to go out and sing We Shall Overcome. They don't have to go out and protest. Though thank God there are millions, thousands of them protesting with us. That's the Great Awakening, see? And those who are angry because they're out there leading are crazy. Why? Because we'll never get this done by ourselves. God has to give us allies.
Yeah.
Okay? I was out in, I won't name the community, but a fairly predominantly white community. Week before last. And there was 6 little kids, Caucasian kids, standing on the corner dancing with signs that said Black Lives Matter. I had to grab the steering wheel of the car. And I'm like, see, Lord, I said awakening. That's what happened when they looked down there and saw them dogs and water hoses. There was an awakening in this country. And then the conscience has to turn into policy. The policy is not, now you can't legislate morality. You can't make people love you.
Right.
But you can write policy. Right now, if we looked at the 3 strikes law and struck it down all over this country, right now, if we looked at, like when Obama came in and looked at the weight laws on cocaine and began to let people go because the policy was so wrong.
There's still people in jail for selling weed.
Well, no. Can't have that conversation. I'm a preacher. Because I've been for the legalization of marijuana since the 60s. And now, I've been sober 40 years. I know you don't believe it, but I have. All right. But it's something we should legalize. Look at the states that legalize it, and they're literally paying for the infrastructure, paying for education. They're paying for everything. Hey, listen, we're not far along. All right, I've got a lot of Republican friends. I fought against casino gambling in this state, and when the late Governor Voinovich and others. I won't name anybody else's name, but we fought with them all along. We kept fighting with them. All right? And then I remember sitting in a meeting at Olivet, and the governor was there, and Big Bishop was there, a lot of people. And I was like, wait a minute. We're fighting against the casinos. I said, Governor, you're running the biggest crap game, the biggest gambling game in the country, the state lottery.
Right.
And the bishop that was there, and I'm like, y'all playing bingo every Friday. He was Catholic. Yeah. Okay. And so I'm like, wait a minute, we have selective gambling. So when it came along this last time, Mr. Gilbert sat down with us, and the Congresswoman was for it, and the mayor was for it. I said, well, you know, I'm not for or against it, but I had already told him I wasn't fighting against single gambling anymore unless we fought against all gambling. All right. Now if people have disposable income in their budget to gamble with, that's their business. But when it begins to hurt people because they have addictions and those kind of things, that's different. But, so they gave in on gambling. They're going to give in on marijuana. It may take another 3 to 4 to 5 years, but eventually you're going to have a governor that's going to count the money and not the other stuff, DeWine's a prosecutor, so I don't know if he'll move in that direction.
Yeah. So far, no.
Former prosecutor.
Right.
The money. Trust me, they all cave for the money. I've seen them. I've watched these Republicans over the years stand on their moral ground. They cave when it comes to the money.
Yeah.
They'll cave.
Well, I guess it's a good time to shut it off for today.
Yeah. I enjoyed myself today. Hey, I enjoyed myself. Maybe because my birthday was this week, and everybody was so nice to me. But they always nice. My kids really be nice to me. I mean, y'all ought to see the kind of some of the stuff they buy me. All right, they bought me some tennis shoes, and they told me, my grandkids told me that I got what I got. I forgot again. Oh man. Oh, yeah. Oh, they told me, my grandkids told me, they said, Granddad, look at you. You ain't got nothing for sale, but you got drip.
Oh, you got drip for sale?
Yeah. So, but my grandkids, see, my wife is young. She hip hop. She everything. Me, I've been old so long that they be trying to help me out.
Thanks for tuning in this week. See y'all next week. God bless.
God bless. Love you. Have a great day. Vote.